That doing its thing. There we go. What is with Streamlabs? Every time my computer reboots, it just deletes every setting known to man. And there we go. All right. Anyways, I was saying, welcome to Friday. And technical difficulties as always. It's after dark. Maybe if we're lucky, we'll have a drunk Jamie show up. He usually seems to wander in at like 7 a.m. his time. And has a great time. And yes, a Snoopy here. And one of these. Dog. You just want to lean on me at all times. Go over there. Okay. Oh, turning off the intro. Boom. Ha! An entire week. No second intro. Okay. There we go. After dark, no second intro. Giant wad of hair flying around from this dog. Hi, buddy. Oof. Yeah, I got nothing, no news off the top of the bat, so I'm just gonna go right to you guys yik-yakking at me because don't drool on the keyboard. Just stay there as I wrestle with this dog. Okay. B-Ball 3710 playing devil's advocate. If nobody in the mainstream media is reporting on GME, is it basically a conspiracy theory at some point? Yeah, I think most people in the mainstream media would consider us conspiracy theorists on this whole meme stock play. The difference is that there's actually shenanigans, and then we can document it. And if any of you have been on social media at this point, you've encountered bots and shills and read articles in the mainstream news that are counter to what's actually happening. It's I would say they're trying to label us conspiracy theorists for sure. Yeah, that makes sense to me. But if we weren't right, we wouldn't have had better returns than all the hedge funds that we've been fighting against. The numbers don't lie on that. So yeah. Okay, B-Balls 3710. What percent of stocks in the market do you think have synthetics? Half? I mean, every stock, every ticker in the market has synthetics for sure. But of the stocks that are traded, upwards of half probably are not legit. That article in the Rolling Stone from 2010, 2011 that was about naked short selling, and they're pointing out that like half of the federal treasury bonds that were sold naked. They didn't exist. They're just counterfeits. And Citadel and others were just basically minting those things and selling them to people, which kind of defeats the purpose of trying to raise money for your government if they're allowed to just counterfeit the bonds and you don't ever get that money. Like, that's a lot of cash that could be going to other things that are going to Citadel instead. Okay. 17 Nut, waiting for you to have a problem. Just watching the bird lady. She's given a good update on the Camber Viking merger status. Wow, it's a tangled web. They have a ton of filing updates for the SEC. B-Ball, all of them. Yeah. All right. Cool. I know nothing about those things. She's very much more energy sector focused than I could ever imagine being. And does good work. Okay. Bill Coyne kind of late to do a show. It's because I didn't get a chance to do one earlier today. So we did a late night show, and that's where we are. All right. I'm going to get some night owls. I'm going to get some early birds on in Europe, and some people probably enjoying their afternoon in like Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, some places around there. Okay, Steve Milne? What kind of professionals should people look at using post-Moaz lawyers, accountants, etc.? Definitely get yourself those things. Get an accountant, get a tax lawyer. Someone is asking me about how to set up like a family fund, investment fund. I don't necessarily know how to do that. That would be something that you might want to have a lawyer look at. There's also weird trusts you can do, where you can put all your assets into some trust and avoid taxes, and I don't know. There's things you can do doing that. I will have to learn about those things myself. Step 1, Moaz. Step 2, lawyers and accountants. Step 3, a cop between two palm trees. That's what I'm looking for. Okay. Steve, Chris Dealer's that kind. All right. J King's a night owl. Welcome. Okay, and there's everyone telling me my microphone's not working. Okay. Gronk, is it stupid to only hold calls during Moaz? Not if you're going to exercise them, right? I mean, if you hold them through Moaz and then it crashes on the other side and you never exercise them, then you're stupid. But you're gonna have to exercise them to make any money off of that stuff, right? This dog just stares at me all day, every day. That's all he does. He just stares at me. Yes, I see you. Yes, and you were a terrible dog who tried to eat a piece of my chocolate cake, and I think you're trying to make up for it right now. And yes, CJ, this is Snoopy. Paraturn. Check out the F1 2022 game. It is a blast. Also, Albon is absolute animal for running a whole race on a single set of tires. What? I did not hear about that. I did not keep up to date on my F1 this week. But a single set of tires for a whole race? How? How? I don't know. But, okay. I'm going to check out the F1 2022 game. I don't have any modern systems, so I'd have to play everything on my computer. But I will check things out. Okay. Jonathan Houston, been thinking and watching the news. I kind of think China wants to take over Taiwan right now. They want to show us what they want to show us and do something else. Thoughts? I think China does desperately want Taiwan, but there's an element of if they go for Taiwan and we start World War III, that China won't win that war. Namely, that China's entire economy is based upon the import of US dollars. And if China no longer gets those US dollars, they have no economy. They have no way to feed their people because they don't make enough food to feed their people. And so you look at mass starvation. Also, it weakens the central government because they're focused on an external threat and not on policing the people who are inside the nation who want to overthrow the government. It results in the destruction of tooling and manufacturing and eliminates their entire customer base. It sets the world back decades as far as tooling and semiconductors and electronics and all that stuff. And a lot of the factories that are in China, they're either owned by foreign entities or they're purpose-built for foreign contracts. So the minute those foreign contracts end, everyone in China is out of work. And no one can handle that. The United States, yeah, a lot of our tchotchkes and things like that come from overseas. But we do have the ability, if push comes to shove, to spool up tooling at home and make things here. We've got plenty of resources. We can feed ourselves. We've got oil and gas, coal, nuclear power, an ocean separating us on both sides. It's China. I think China saw the way sanctions hit Russia really, really hard during their invasion of Ukraine, and they put the pause button. They're like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't invade Taiwan right now. Also, all those weapons that we've given to Ukraine to like blow up ships at sea and take down tanks and whatnot, Taiwan has that 1,000-fold compared to what we've given to Ukraine. China would have a hell of a time trying to get their landing ships onto that island. Rockets would just be flying like crazy. It would be really messy, and I don't think war is ever in anyone's best interest. Like, if you can avoid war, avoid war. Don't seek it out. If war comes to you, that's one thing. There's nothing you can do about that. But if you have the opportunity to like not be an aggressor, then take that opportunity. It's much better to spend that money at home on trains and schools and infrastructure and all that stuff. Okay. Oh shoot! I just lost. Where was it? There it is. Okay. All right. Mr. Diamond Hands is here. Oh, no second intro for you, Mr. Diamond Hands. I managed to fix that. All right. And that's J Chang 47. I'm your hot date. I've got 143 of you losers here with me on a Friday night. You guys aren't on town. You're hanging out with me. All right, let's do this. Aloha Friday from Oahu by Fred Tater. Monkey, where's Monkey Butt? Monkey is on the other side of her little ottoman, chewing on a bone right now. I can see her little butt right there. 6 a.m. in the UK. It's A-OK in the UK. Is it 6 a.m.? Dang. All right, sun's up. Sun's out, buns out. Prejudice Sun says, I have to make it to Monday for a full week. That's true. I think my record is 4 shows in a row managing to turn the intro off. So, you know, I'm going to get better. I'm going to zen it out, and Monday, I'm going to get much better. Anthony Oriaga, I hope I said that right. Thoughts on Twitter news? I think Elon Musk would make a terrible owner of Twitter. Absolutely garbage. I think his play at Twitter is an ego play because he's sick of people making fun of him on Twitter, and he has no qualms about freedom of speech. That's all bullshit. I mean, he canceled a Tesla order of a guy who made a joke about him. So, like, I think his entire goal of buying Twitter is because in his mind he needs everybody to love him, and that's why he wants Twitter. It's because he thinks he can somehow get people to love him that way. I think his offer is lowball. I also think he doesn't have the finances available to do that. The only way he could do it is by massively selling off stocks in Tesla. And he already sold off $30 billion in Tesla, so you have to sell off another $42 billion to be able to afford this. Plus, Vanguard and BlackRock up their ownership, and it sounds like there's a battle to keep him out of Twitter. I mean, if he wants a platform, he can literally go buy Truth Social for like $6 in a handshake. He could buy Parler. He could buy Gab. He could buy half of these other alternatives to Twitter that are awful and no one wants to use because they're free speech platforms, which means they just cater to the worst human beings in the entire world because they're not going to police Nazis being Nazis. And let's face it, Nazis are a small percentage of the population. And if you cater an app towards folks like that, that's all you're going to attract, and you're going to lose out on the rest of the population that doesn't want to deal with Nazi bullshit all day long. So Truth Social is not going to be successful. Gab isn't very successful. Parler is garbage that's so easily hackable that half of the evidence used against people in these court cases are because some very, very middling hackers were able to download all of the data of all of the members of Parler. They got driver's licenses, locations, videos, photographs, emails, home addresses. And that's because a lot of these alternative platforms, they attract the people who aren't good enough to work at places like Twitter. Right? So if you've got a crappy programmer who could not get a job at Twitter, but he can like download some stuff off GitHub and kind of make a Twitter knockoff, they're not going to have the security, they're not going to have the quality, and they're not going to be able to build out the bandwidth to be able to handle any sizable population using their service. The service is just going to crash all the time. The A game goes to the big companies that can offer stock options that are worth something, and the B and C team goes to these alternative websites that look like they're programmed in 1997 and have security worse than that. So what I think is going to happen is Elon is going to play at this. He's going to get rejected. He's going to sell off his shares for a profit, and he'll have twice as much cash as he started with. And then it'll be right back to where it was. Also, Elon is in a lot of trouble with the SEC for manipulation and pump and dumps. And possible insider trading. He and his brother. He can throw his weight around because he's got a huge net worth based on his Tesla stock, but that Tesla stock is artificially inflated due to two reasons. He's a cult of personality, and there has been a squeeze going on with his stock. So, if he faces retribution from the SEC for malfeasance, that may implode Tesla stock, and that may spell trouble for a lot of things on the road. Plus, SpaceX is in trouble. They have their current engine that's supposed to be like the next gen engine that's supposed to be lifting all this stuff to space is not ready, and they could miss out on a lot of federal contracts, which will cut off a lot of the subsidizing of SpaceX that's been going on. And all of a sudden, Boeing or Blue Origin may come out on top in the next round of contracts if that's the case. So, we'll see. Okay. G-Font, YYC. I think it's more likely the Fed doesn't want to raise rates as it devalues collateral. If the repo market collapses, then things will get nuts. We are in a massive collateral shortage already. Yeah. We've got a couple of problems. One is we've got inflation, so we have to raise rates. That's how you combat inflation. Two, we are increasing inflation because we got things like the plunge protection team working in secret, dumping trillions of dollars into the market that they should not be doing. We need the market to go bear, and we need prices to drop. And we kind of, we got to stick the knife in a little bit and twist. It's like your boat is full of water, and you're dumping buckets of water out, and someone else on the other side is scooping buckets of water into the boat. You're just treading water at this point, and that water treading is runaway inflation. I do think housing prices are going to take a huge hit over the summer. Simply because folks aren't going to be able to qualify for loans for homes that are average home prices. And, if interest rates for home loans get to 7-8% like they were, 20, 25 years ago, then the average mortgage is going to be insane. And folks aren't going to be able to qualify for those. And anybody who has a variable rate mortgage, they're screwed. They're going to be paying, $6,000 a month on a $300,000 house. That's not sustainable. So, I think we're going to see some comeuppance happen in the housing market. Number letters: Vanguard outbuying Elon. Yep. Yes, they are. Yeah. Hoshi Gaming, what are the benefits of an LLC or family fund, and how do I set it up? Setting up an LLC is pretty straightforward. You just file with your Secretary of State in your state or whatever government body, if you're international. You make a limited liability company, and you put all of your assets inside that limited liability company. And that way, you pay corporate tax rates and not necessarily tax rates on income. And so you just basically form a holdings company. And a family fund, on the other hand, I think you got to register as like a brokerage, not brokerage, but you have to get a broker license. And I don't know exactly how that happens. Basically, it's a hedge fund that is for one person, basically, and their family. But I don't know exactly how that works. Paratarian, thoughts on Pulte hype? Pulte? Someone told me how to pronounce it. Pulte. I mean, he's a scion of industry. He helps run a gigantic charity that kind of directly helps people in need with cash infusions. Seems like a pretty good dude. And he is now jumping on board the meme stock train simply because of his experience with BCG. And he's seen what BCG did to his family's company. And so now he's reaching out and getting parts of other companies he thinks should survive that have been touched by the turd of BCG. Mr. Diamond Hands, what blew my mind is that they said they covered to Congress so that they can't claim GME is doing this to kill hedgies. Genius, yes. That they thought they were so smart lying to Congress like that, and now they got to like pretend like everything's fine. They've get out of shitty ingredients just like, oh, this shit tastes good, because they can't lie. They're stuck eating that turd. Bill Coyne, 20 years from now, when no one cares and all the key people are dead, they will make a movie exposing all the criminals. This is how they always handle stuff like this. Yeah. I mean, get movies like The Big Short and Margin Call and The Big One and stuff like that. Yeah. It's always after the fact when it's all said and done. And then you interview somebody who was, they were a trader at Citadel. And they'd be like, well, I turned state's evidence and became a whistleblower and had to keep my mouth shut for 2 years. But this is exactly how we did it. And they'll be interviewing folks about that stuff for years to come. Michael Ahero, Houston, did you hear that Truckers Association asked Governor Abbott in Texas to stop his blockade because he was hurting the truckers and making things bad for Texans getting food? Yes, I was just listening to a piece on NPR earlier that basically Greg Abbott's slowdown of trucks coming out of Mexico is hurting the U.S. economy $1 billion a day and $472 million a day just in the state of Texas. And that fruits and vegetables and food aren't making it onto shelves at grocery stores. Greg Abbott's kind of a moron. Like, he's making a point. I don't know what point he's trying to make, but in his quest to make a point, he's hurting his own constituents in an election year by making it so they are losing money, losing work, and not having enough food to eat. It's a pretty terrible idea, if you ask me. Everyone wants to streamline trade. That's what you want to do. You want to make trade as seamless as possible without as many blockades to it. Why? Because everyone makes a bunch of money that way, and things go gangbusters. If you are purposely going to be ruining people's days and slowing them down and hassling them, then you are going to basically hurt any business that's in your region, and they're going to want to leave. Someone, was it Jersey? One of you viewers sent me a video of this guy who does like YouTube videos of food around the world and like finds great food in Uganda or China or whatever. And it was a 17-minute video about how awful it was to try and go film his YouTube channel in Egypt. And that there was so many police, so many bureaucrats, so many security officers that the airport, at the hotel, that they kept seizing all of his equipment and wanting bribes. And he's like, we barely got anything done. We had to go like buy an iPhone and go film with an iPhone, which is not how, you want to show someone's country. Like if you want to bring tourists to your country because they have got money. And it was pretty incredible. Like we take for granted usually in the U.S. that we can just hop in a car and drive somewhere. Like if I want to right now, I could go get my car and I could drive 3,000 miles across the country and only worry about paying gas and getting food. Other places in the world, you don't have that luxury. You've got checkpoints. You've got warring factions. You have warlords you got to bribe off. You got secret police. You've got, all these weird elements that all need their cut. So you got to bribe and face graft and crime the entire way. And we got pretty easy. So why would you, as a state, make it hard for folks to do business in your state? Like, that seems like the dumbest idea. So dumb. What? Why would you do that? Why would you make it harder for people to make a living in your state? As some sort of like, well, screw you, Mexicans. You still have a bunch of avocados and limes and corn and wheat and all sorts of stuff that's coming from Mexico. So let them bring their stuff across the border. I don't understand how hard that is. Okay. Cornelius. Cosmic Cornelius. Finally caught the beginning of a stream. How would you explain who Elon Musk is to someone who has been in a coma for over a decade? Oh. Okay. Once upon a time, there was a nerd whose dad owned the largest engineering firm in Africa, and his mom was a supermodel. And he had access to wealth and privilege that not many folks in South Africa did at the time, and was allowed to bask in his nerdiness by getting a computer before everyone else and learning how to program. He then went to college for software engineering, came up with an idea, and his dad was the angel investor for that idea, which he managed to sell during the dot-com bubble for, $100 million? X.com or whatever it was. And then went on to fame and fortune with PayPal, and later purchased Tesla and started SpaceX. And somewhere along the way, somehow became a cult of personality. I don't understand how. That part totally escapes me. And he makes a lot of big promises and fails to deliver on about half of them. But people don't seem to care. And he really, 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 more than anything, wants to be a stand-up comedian. And we're all going to suffer for that. I think that's Elon Musk. Elon Musk. And when I was doing my space studies master's degree, we got these chat boards for each class that we kind of have to participate in. The teacher will ask a question about, space law, or, launching 40,000 satellites into orbit and how to manage them, things like that. And almost every single class, there was a sub-thread that broke down into Elon Musk is one inconvenience away from becoming a Bond villain. that was kind of the subtext of my master's in space studies, was that, Elon kind of sucks to work for, and but he pays well, and if you want to work in the space industry, you're gonna have to work for him, and that's life. And he's not an engineer, but he likes to tell everyone he is. And then he basically is like, I want to do this. And everyone's like, it's not really feasible. He's like, well, I'm going to spend $1 billion on that, and we're going to do it. And they're like, we could try. And then they waste a bunch of money on a program that's not going to go anywhere. I'm not sure how they get to the point where they make things that work. I'm not sure who's actually responsible for that. Like, who's the person in charge who's like, totally Elon, and they just do their own thing and make sure these engines go out and work and everything. But he sounds like a nightmare to work for. My brother worked for him briefly. He was kind of subcontracted out because he does industrial engineering, specializes in plastics. And the original Tesla Roadster was this composite and plastic body, and the company didn't know how to work doing that stuff. So Jim Gennard sent my brother over to Tesla for a while to kind of show them how to do injection molding and form molding and all these things, so they can actually set up their line to make these plastic body parts. And the description, I think, was that he was a little ADHD and all over the place, and basically just people just had to kind of ignore him and do their job. And that was it. That's not a very succinct way of describing him to someone who was in a coma. They're gonna be like, what? But there you go. Don sees your shed. Do you know much about gap fills? How do they form? Is a fill inevitable? Spy needs to fill the gap at 400. I hear. What whatever it is what I want. Oh, is, guys. No. I'm not a TA guy, so I don't know much about gap fills. If there is no market maker involved, then the gap just jumps. I know that much. That basically, if the price of something's at $3.90 and the next ask is at $400 and no one's biting at $3.90, then the price is going to go to $400 eventually. But the way the market makers work is they generate shares of all sorts of securities and they'll put it at $3.90 and just fill those orders just so they keep cash moving through the market. But how that works in a manipulated market like this, I don't know. Jamie might know. If Jamie's awake and Jamie shows up, someone let me know. He likes to jump in here every once in a while on the Friday night shows. Okay. Sad Boy Incorporated, Houston. I bought shares of UVXY. Later learned that the shares decay through contango. Can you explain contango and how to profit off of market volatility without buying options? Oh, man. I've only ever dealt with short-term calls for things like UVXY. I don't know anything about. I'm gonna have to learn about contango. So no, Sad Boy. I know that they're like a volatile short-term play, like ETF. Yeah, they give you that warning when you buy it, like it's short term. You sure want to buy something for that far out, and but I don't know exactly what the contango is. So no, I'm totally useless for that question. I feel like giving something to look up. Let's look up contango. Contango. Okay, just so you know. Contango. Mr. Diamond Hands, do you think they'll limit our withdrawals post Moaz? I mean, most brokers do have that kind of limit, but if you got a bunch of money in there, talk to your brokerage and say, hey, brokerage, do you have some sort of gold platinum service for people who are really rich like me? And usually they go, we do. And so you upgrade your account to whatever beautiful benefit perk-filled account they have, and then you probably have the much larger ability to withdraw. Also, if they don't want you to, if they won't let you withdraw your money, then you just transfer brokerages, and they'll just have to cut you a giant check for whatever cash holdings you have. Some of the brokers now have Bitcoin wallets and things like that. Like Robinhood just finally gave everyone wallets. So if you say make $1 gajillion off of this play, and you happen to be in a broker like Robinhood, then you just buy a bunch of Bitcoin and send that Bitcoin out of Robinhood. Done. Your money is now out of that brokerage and to wherever you want. It's elsewhere from there. So you can do that. Scott Mattingly, AMC Moaz incoming, in my opinion. I think the Moaz in general is incoming. Sean Bug, would you transfer your shares AMC out of Webull, and if so, what would you recommend? I think if you are in a brokerage app that is doing payment for order flow and associated with Apex, it's probably best to move your stuff out of there. Apex is the entire reason the buy button got turned off, because all these brokerages are doing trades with your stock on margin with somebody else. If the price screams and they get margin called, then you can't do any trading. So I would avoid things that trade on payment for order flow in Apex. I would go to a brokerage that is its own clearinghouse, that gives you ability to trade specifically through lit markets, and go from there. Aloha, can Hawaii get energy from geothermal sources like Iceland? It does. There's a big geothermal plant in Puna on the Big Island. Yeah, there's you can get lots of energy through geothermal sources. The problem is how far you have to drill for it, because the islands are big mountains, right? So let's do some mapping. Let's do some mapping. Oh shoot, Google Earth isn't turned on because my computer rebooted. One sec, could get some Google Earth up here. There we go. There it is. All right, let's go to Hawaii. Whee! Woohoo! All right, here we are. Big Island of Hawaii. Hilo here. This is Puna. This area down here. And near Pahoa, near Leilani Estates, out here, is the geothermal plant. The geothermal plant is this guy right here. So this is a big giant geothermal plant. Essentially, each one of these fans pretty much represents a well that's drilled down next to the lava. And they use the heat, they pump water through those drill holes. It, just like a nuclear power plant or coal fire plant, it generates steam. That steam moves turbines, and then electricity gets generated that way. So here they are just generating electricity. In places like Iceland, they actually also use those thermal wells to heat water. So everyone in town basically gets hot spring water, and the showers kind of smell like rotten eggs and farts. So everyone just has to get used to that eventually. This is the 2018 eruption, and Jake, who has not been in here in a long time, Leaky Mountain, he actually did the surveying for a lot of where this geothermal plant got built, because they're like, well, this is a very dangerous lava zone. We want to put it on a slight hill in case there's a giant eruption. And then so they put it on a slight hill, and then a few years later there's a giant eruption, and the plant survived. So good job on that surveying, Jake. But it's very expensive to drill, and so you want to do it in a place where you have to drill very far. And as far as the Big Island of Hawaii is concerned, this is basically a big shelf that goes out near the water, so they have to drill down maybe a couple hundred feet. Other parts that are thousands of feet high, you get up here into Kilauea, you're at 4,000 or 5,000 feet. You get up on Mauna Loa, you might be at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,000 feet. You have to drill a long ways to be able to get to the geothermal points for those wells. So it's hard to get those geothermal spots elsewhere on the island because things can get really steep really quick. For the other islands, there's no hope of finding geothermal anything on Kauai. You're going to have to drill down to like the mantle itself. The last volcanic activity on Oahu was when Diamond Head formed and Punch Bowl. And these are what are called rejuvenation events. Whoops, sorry, big dog. I need to roll over you. That's my fault. Where's my Jim Juvic book? Where's my Jim Juvic at? Oh, here it is. The Atlas of Hawaii, fantastic, amazing atlas. Gotta look up rejuvenation events here. Not locations. Oh, volcanics, whaling, religion, languages, tsunamis, earthquakes. Oh man, what section was it about rejuvenation events? And was it this book or was it my Geology of the Hawaiian Islands book? Man. What happens when things are like 17 years ago when you go through it? This is a fantastic atlas though. If you have a chance to get updated atlas. Jim Juvic, who wrote this atlas, and his wife Sonia, Jim was just the best professor I ever had in my life. The guy was amazing. And probably who I most model my teaching style after, which is the give me a topic and let's just talk about it until I've exhausted everything I know. Oh, you dang geology. Where are you? Where are you? All right, so I can't find it at the moment. That takes too long. You don't want to watch me spend all night doing that. But, so the pit crater here, like Diamond Head, this was what was known as a rejuvenation event. So the way the islands start out is they start out as an undersea volcano. So we have what was Loihi and just got, I can't remember, it just changed its name, and I can't remember what the name changed to. But there's a new island of Hawaii forming from a little underwater volcano off the southeast coast of the Big Island. The Pacific Plate's moving along, and eventually it pops out of the water and makes a shield volcano. So Mauna Loa here is a big example of that shield volcano. And so, you know, the mountain inflates and it oozes lava, and it inflates and it oozes lava, and it inflates and oozes lava. And eventually the magma chamber gets cut off from the source deep down the mantle. And as the island moves along, you get to a volcano like Mauna Kea. Mauna Kea is a shield volcano, and it's a late stage shield volcano that's now what's called an alkalic cap. And this is when there's still a magma chamber, and that magma chamber may not necessarily getting rejuvenated with more magma as time goes on, but it's hot. It still finds its way through cracks, and it can still erupt from time to time. And the eruption is, there's less eruptions over a period of time, but they become more violent because lots of groundwater gets trapped over that period of time. And so you get a lot more of these cinder cones forming and a lot more explosive eruptions. So the mountain starts to get steeper and steeper as it has those explosive eruptions. And if the magma chamber wasn't that big, then it can start to decay, and you get big erosion events like these valley structures on the north end of the island. So you get Waipio Valley and Waimanu and what was this one? Pu'u? No, I can't remember. My brain is totally forgetting the names of these things. Anyway, and that groundwater that's trapped inside, if one of those ancient lava dikes break, then the water bursts out, and then you get these huge erosion events. So you get what was a volcano called Kohala is now the Kohala Mountains because of all these erosion events that have happened. You can get to a bigger mountain like Haleakala on Maui, which is still in its alkalic phase, so it looks a lot like Mauna Kea. The last time it erupted was around sometime in the 1700s, 1793, somewhere in there. So it's been a while since it erupted. But you get up to West Maui, and it's like the Kohala Mountains. This is an ancient volcano. It's all eroded away because all the groundwater started breaking out from the volcanic dikes and so on. But you go by a couple million years, there's still in a mountain like this, even still just a teeny tiny amount of magma that's trapped inside that's still hot because it's insulated by this big mountain. And you get to an island like Oahu that the island has eroded down a whole floor, so the seafloor kind of rebounds. And what eventually happens is you actually bring what's left of that teeny tiny amount of magma chamber really close to the surface, which can allow for an eruption to happen. And since where this magma chamber was really close to the oceanic water, about 10,000 years ago when Diamond Head erupted, it was an extremely violent eruption. Just a gigantic explosion, launched chunks of coral and stuff all over the place. And this was the sort of the last gasp of the rejuvenation event that a Hawaiian volcano can have. So by the time you get to an island like Kauai, there's no magma chamber left. It's just in a straight dying phase. There'll never be eruption again, and that's it. So if you're lucky, there may be some points somewhere along Oahu where you can do geothermal stuff. There may be points on Molokai and Lanai where we can do that, and there's definitely spots, especially around Haleakala, where we can do geothermal. But it's going to be harder and harder than it is on the Big Island to get that geothermal energy. And now that I've bored you guys to tears talking about geothermal events, let's go back here. I know I missed a couple of super chats while I was doing that. Okay. Alexander Robert Krantz, Houston, huge fan. What financial metrics should we GME folks keep our eyes on when trying to time the peak of Moaz? Volume. That's the one thing. You look at volume. I'm going to assume that at the current moment there's around 1 billion synthetics. And when we see the volume push, $1 billion, or sorry, a billion shares traded, then it would likely be over. Unless we're looking at a split that now means that 1 billion is 8 billion synthetics. Then we may have to look for when the volume gets close to like 8 billion shares traded over X period of time, then it may be getting close to being over. That's the biggest metric that I'm going to pay attention to, combined with the price. So, again, I'm going to climb that ladder because in just a few short trades of selling a single share at a time, I can guarantee you to sell shares, in the millions of dollars and guarantee my retirement. That's what I care about. I care about being able to just dump things into a Vanguard and be retired, and we're going to go from there. Okay, unpaid overtime. What do you think will happen to Canadians holding Moaz stocks and TFSA accounts? Do you think the Canadian government will step in for their share? I mean, they'll tax you, if that's what you mean. But the money that's going to be paying out isn't going to be coming from the Canadian government. It's going to be coming from the U.S. government, because these stocks will be getting bought by Goldman Sachs or JP Morgan, whoever those prime brokers and investment banks are that are lending all that margin. I got another dog hair. Dude, your hair is everywhere. All the time. Never stops. It's always in my mouth or in my eyeball or in my nose. On my clothes. You're just a hairy freak of nature. You know that, you big dork? But yes, the Canadian government is definitely going to want their tax money out of that, though. So be prepared for that. Okay. All right. That take care of Super Chats? I think so. All right. Man, it's 263 of you here late night. Fantastic. Okay. Oh, also in the U.S., there's lots of geothermal spots in continental U.S. where we can make energy. I know there's one geothermal plant here in Washington near Mount Rainier. There's a crazy asshole guy that lives in my community that for a while ran a company that was doing geothermal in Nevada. And I'm not sure. I think they eventually went bankrupt because he's kind of a scam artist. I'm not sure how successful it was. But I've driven past the plant out in the middle of nowhere. I'm not like, who's getting the energy? There's no one for like 100 miles in any direction. Yeah, that guy. I don't trust that guy. He'd like spent a bunch of time in jail in the 80s for trying to deal a huge weight of heroin and cocaine and sold out all of his buddies, and then became like a political consultant. And yeah, and always come up with a new company, gets a bunch of investors that magically goes bankrupt. He seems like a total scam artist. Okay. Aaron O'Toole, Houston, happy birthday. Which bank should I keep my attendees in? Which bank should I keep my attendees if I move to Europe? How do I even get my money out of the USA? I mean, most banks allow you to do banking overseas. You may get charged little fees for using like a debit card overseas. I mean, if you're moving overseas, I would look at opening up a bank account in that nation as well. And you can just do a wire transfer if you're moving. So I'd look at that. Right? Yeah, be like, sorry, Bank of America, I moved to Spain, and I'm going to be using a Bank of Spain now. Julianne, if the economy crashes due to Moaz and the government does a reverse split on currency due to it being diluted so much, would it be prudent to buy lots of gold or right after so you preserve the value? You always want gold if the economy crashes. It always holds its value compared to everything else. So, not a bad idea. Not financial advice, not a financial advisor. But yeah, not a bad idea at all. Richard Swinehart, thank you so much for that super chat there. Thank you. Mr. Diamond Hands, implied volatility will be insane during Moaz. Probably not worth it with the crazy swings up and down. Could be in money with strike price, but losing on premiums. Yeah, if you're holding options during Moaz, you're probably not going to be able to sell them. There's going to be no one with the cash available to buy those. It's probably best to exercise them. Again, not financial advice, not financial advisor. But I would think that it'd be almost impossible to find someone willing to buy your options. You may just have to just bite the bullet, exercise, and get the shares, and then sell those shares as time allows, right? Daphne, he was eating cake before a stream. Maybe today's birthday. Nope, today's not my birthday. But I often impulse buy chocolate cake at the grocery store when I go buy groceries, because why not? I'm an adult. I can eat cake if I want to. Dame Horatia, Houston, if you had $2,000, what stock would you take a put on? What stock would I take a put on? Tesla? How much would be a Tesla put right now? Probably would cost you 20 grand to get a Tesla put because the price is so high. Move out of the way. Let me just go here. Scroll this way. Click on... Where are you? Where are you? There you go. It's Tesla's $989. If I wanted to get a put on Tesla, let's say we do it for June 17th. Okay. No, put. All right. Holy shit. Okay, that's a lot of money. All right, let's get down from there. Okay, so if you want to buy a put on Tesla, it's going to cost you like 9-10 grand at current prices. So you want to get down to the $2,000 range. Holy smokes. You're going to have to be at like $700 for a put. That's not going to be any good. I think it's going to drop. I don't think it's going to drop that far. I think right now Tesla and Twitter are going to be closely entwined based upon what Elon's doing. And so maybe a Twitter put, because if the board rejects Elon and he can't find enough folks together to help him with the $43 billion it would cost to purchase the price he wants, and he wants to do a hostile takeover, he may have to just dump his shares and go, screw it. And if that's the case, then all the Elon fanboys are going to jump ship, and the price is going to drop $10 on Twitter. So that might be a good one. I don't know. I don't have any cash to play with until the 20th, so I'm stuck, sitting and staring. Billcoin, after Moaz, expect bankers, wealth management people to come to your home personally, car dealerships calling, lots of people chasing you. Yep. If you are not somebody whose face is on the internet during one of these plays, the best thing you might do after Moaz is just shut up. Don't let your neighbors know. Don't let your family know. Just go about your business as normal until you've talked to all your lawyers and accountants and figure out your exit strategy of life and what you're going to do with your newfound wealth. There is always, you hear the stories about folks that win the lottery and they're from areas that aren't necessarily wealthy and how they get robbed and bilked and have cousins come out of the woodwork and sue them and all sorts of crazy stuff. So you just stare at me constantly. You just stare at me all the time. I'm surrounded by rich assholes. So, if I win big off of this, I'm still not even going to be close to like the richest person around in my community. Seriously, like my roommates and I were trying to count how many billionaires we knew, and we knew 7 personally, and there's like 4 others that we knew about that live in our community. There's a lot of them here. They're just, they just don't live in a giant mansion. They might live in like a 2,000 square foot house and drive a 20-year-old Volvo, but they built Bill Gates' house, or they were, one of the original founders of Corel or Adobe or whatever. Very subdued. There's some subdued billionaires that live here. There's some ostentatious ones too, but I know they don't hang out with me. Oh, super chats here. Hungry Caveman. I feel that we are close to Moaz with the Jimmy dividend vote and the executive order causing the 60-plus company bonds to become worthless in June. That's one folks have talked about that Boss Blunts was pointing out, that there's going to be a bunch of companies that are tied to the Chinese military, because the Chinese military is the arm of the Communist Party, and they own factories and companies and stuff like that. To it's like a sovereign wealth fund for the military, and that anyone who's invested in those Chinese bonds will not be allowed to count those bonds towards their assets under management, which means they're going to lose whatever chunk of their assets happen to be those bonds, and they can get margin called as a result. So, what was the date on that, folks? Like June 3rd or something? Something like that. So keep your eyes peeled for that date. All right. I lost where I was in the chat again, because that's what happens constantly. Okay, it was near... Daphne, can you give us tips on how or where to look at volume during a squeeze to gauge when volume slows down? I wouldn't be looking for when volume slows down. I'd be looking for when total volume over a set course of time. Like, let's do maybe use paint here. MS Paint, turn off birth. Okay, so come here, Steve. Oh, don't make it big. Don't you move. All right, get there. Okay, so we have calendar days, right? So we got an x-axis, y-axis, and we'll just pick GME because why not? And we'll say that during the baby squeeze, the peak volume was like 150 million shares in a day, which is, as you and I both know, way too high. So we'll call this 150 million. Right? So there's 150 million shares. Next day, you got another 150 million shares. And day after that might be 200 million. And day after that might be 100 million. And day after that might be back to 150. And what you're looking for is when the total of these traded shares, let's say we're doing pre-dividends. We're looking at 1 billion shares, right? So here we got 300 million, 500 million, 600 million, 750 million. In the next day or two, if this is the volume that's trading and we're looking at 1 billion shares, and so now we're at 900 million. And if we think there's 1 billion synthetics out there, when you get to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the 7th day of trading at volumes around this, that might be the peak. If there's only 1 billion synthetics. Now, if there's 8 billion synthetics, you multiply this sucker by 7 or 8. You're looking at weeks and weeks and weeks of these crazy volumes happening. And when you get close to a total of, you get all the way out here, and this day at 200 million shares or whatever represents like the 7 billionth share in the last 4 weeks to trade, then it might be time that it's going to be wrapping up soon. They may have found all the shares they need. They may have closed all the positions they need to close. And that's when it might be time to be like, well, held out as long as I could. The price has been insane. It's been, the price has been going like woohoo, woohoo, woo, woo, all over the place. And then, that might be it. I don't know if I'll ever make it this far because, say the price gets to $100,000 and then 200,000, 300,000, 400,000 drops back down. And I've got another sell order at 800,000 and then it drops back down. And then I got another one at 1 million and it drops back down. I got another one at 1.5 and so on. My shares, if I do my ladder method, may have sold out before then. I may have a couple that I keep for infinity pool just to see where it goes. But I'm hoping that somewhere before I get to this point, I may have retired. But if I have anything left, if I have 5, 6 shares left and we're at 7 billion shares traded, I might just go, meh, I'm out. I'm done. I made my nut. I can now retire in happiness and not have to worry about anything ever again. And that's my goal. I don't need to be super duper greedy. I'll leave other people be greedy. Okay. Click there. Meow meow. You're stranded on a desert island. Choose a life supply of chili cheese Fritos, Flamin' Hot Crunchy Cheetos, or Cool Ranch Doritos. Ooh. It's a lifetime supply, so it's like basically my food I'm stuck with on a desert island. I think while overall I enjoy chili cheese Fritos and Flaming Hot Cheetos more, the fact that I would be suffering from acid reflux for the rest of my life, I may have to go with Cool Ranch Doritos just because I don't think my stomach lining can handle a 100% diet of the other two. I think that's as far as I can go in that case. So just to preserve my esophagus, I'm going to have to go with Cool Ranch Doritos. So that's my choice. It's based, you got to take your NSIT risk assessment there, do your threat matrices, and just go, okay, we enjoy the spicy thing, but every night we're going to fiery burp ourselves to death. So Cool Ranch Doritos it will be. Okay. Project Sun. Thoughts on a new understanding of Boatswain's mass considerations. Oh, I'm going to have to read that. Okay. We're going to open you. I'll be a new window. Right, I'm going to have to read that and get back to you on that one there, Project Sun. Putting a pin in that. Okay. Richard Swinehart. Hey, Houston, are Passover, Ramadan, and Easter related? I know Easter has Christian and pagan beliefs mixed together, but are Passover and Ramadan linked? Ramadan changes what month it's in each year. I can't remember exactly why, but it slowly moves as the years go on. Let's look that up. Easter basically is co-opting of the Christian faith for pagan faiths. That they made Good Friday around Passover, and there were equinox festivals that happened that they basically co-opted. Passover itself is, well, okay. I think both Easter and Passover represent the first Friday after the first full moon after the spring equinox. So that's Good Friday and the Friday of Passover. So they both start at the same time. Ramadan. Let's look at Ramadan calendar. Okay. Yeah. Ramadan changes by about 2 weeks every year. So Ramadan happens like 2 weeks later each year. Oh, you guys can't see what I'm doing because I am. Gotta sign the Chrome. Gotta go there. Ramadan calendar. Done. Sorry, 2 weeks earlier each year. I got that backwards. So this year, April 2nd to May 1st. Next year, March 23rd to April 20th, 2024, March 11th. So it moves backwards, and it might be because I think is the Islamic calendar a 360-day calendar, not 365. Okay, this will tell us. Many Muslims insist the local physical sighting of the moon to mark the beginning of Ramadan, but others use calculated time of the new moon or the Saudi Arabian declaration to determine the start of the month. Since the new moon is not in the same state, same time globally, the beginning and ending dates of Ramadan depend upon what lunar sightings are received in each respective location. As a result, Ramadan dates vary in different countries, but usually only by a day. This is due to the cycle of the moon, blah, blah, blah. Calendar's lunar year. Months begin when the first crescent of a new moon is sighted. Consequently, Islamic year is 10 to 11 days shorter than the solar year. Okay, yep. So they use a shorter calendar. That's why. Yep. Okay. So, yeah. So Ramadan moves backwards, and you get enough years ahead, and all of a sudden Ramadan is in like August and stuff. So it changes. That's why. So it just happens to be over Easter now, but you get 100 years either direction, and it's not anywhere near Easter. There you go. We all learned something new. Cool. I knew it. It was something. There's always something to do with lunar calendar with things like that. Oh, I see the bots jumped in here. Hopefully they got silenced. What is with the best cams fun hot girls and boys thing? Like, if I go and look at the settings, what do you call it? The admin settings for this channel, there's like 100 of those that have been blocked. And how do they keep making more of them with that name? Don't you think that like YouTube by now would learn that when someone types in bestcams.fun that they'd be like, no, you can't. We're not going to do that. Dame Horacia, Houston, don't you have any legal people on here who know about the company nomination procedures? It's a bit dubious. I can't get info on it. I'm in the UK though. I had posted links that are in the charter for the company about at least AMC about how to do nominations, and you have to write a letter to the board dated from between, I think it's May 7th and June 6th, or maybe it's May 6th and June 7th of this year to be able to get a nomination into the shareholders meeting that's going to be in July. So, if I can find that again. It was an SEC filing. SEC AMC board nominations. Yeah, this might be it. AMC Entertainment. Yep, this is it. So, go back to here. I'll take this, copy that, throw this into there. So it's in the chat now, the link to it. Okay. No, sorry, this is the wrong one. Wrong one. Sorry, guys. Didn't mean to do that one. That's not the one. Ignore that link. Where's the... amended bylaws. Maybe this one. Yes. Preamble. Let's do Control F. Nominations. Yes. Okay. So this is the real one. I'm gonna put this one in the chat. Sorry, I got the wrong one first. It's that guy. Ignore the other one. That's just an announcement of shareholders meeting. But this says stockholders' notice shall set forth as to each person whom the stockholder purposes nominates. Proposes to nominate for election or re-election as director all information relating to such person that is required to be disclosed in solicitations of proxy for election of directors or is otherwise required in each case pursuant to Regulation 14A under the Securities Exchange Act 1934 as amended the Exchange Act, including such person's written consent to being named in the proxy statement as a nominee and to serving as director if elected. As to any other business, the stockholder proposes to bring before the meeting a brief description of the business desired to be brought before the meeting and text of any resolution proposed to be adopted at the meeting, the reasons for conducting such business at the meeting and any material interest in such business of such stockholder, and the beneficial owner, if any, on whose behalf the proposal is made, and as to the stockholder giving notice, and beneficial owner, if any, on whose behalf the nomination or proposal is made. The name, the address of stockholder, blah, 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 blah. Only such persons who are nominated in accordance with the procedure set forth in these bylaws shall be eligible for election to serve as directors, and only such business shall be conducted. Meeting of stockholders. Okay. This is just detailing you. If you want to be nominated, apparently you got to write a letter saying I'm willing to be nominated, which seems weird. But yeah, so shall declare a meeting any such nominated or business properly brought for the meeting shall be transacted. Okay. I forget where there was a calendar date that was 2 months, 60 days prior to 30 days prior to the anniversary of the previous shareholders meeting, which was like July 7th of last year. So it'd be, May to June this year. Okay, but Yeah, I'll let somebody look that stuff over because the writing's really small and my brain can't handle it this time of night. So there you go. It's in there. And there's also AMC Theaters board nominations. There's like a nomination. Whoops. AMC Theater. There's also a nominations committee that. Go back here. Audit committee, nominating committee. So there's a nominations committee. There's folks on the board whose job it is to like go through the nominations. And some boards are set up such a way that shareholders cannot propose or nominate somebody. It can only come from existing board members, which seems really insular and terrible. But AMC does allow outside nominations. So let's put this link in there as well so you guys can look at that. Boom, that's in the chat. But I mean, there's the contact stuff for them out in Leawood, Kansas. And nomination committee. Their job is to identify potential board members and yada, 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 yada. Okay, so there you go. All right, did I miss? Oh, meow meow. Has anyone noticed how glitchy GPS on all map platforms has been? Maybe Solar Flare fried a satellite? I have not used GPS recently. So I don't know. I've not... When was the last time I used GPS? Been a while. I'm not going anywhere. I used it a little bit when I was in Paris because, you know, walking around, be like, I want this kind of food, and then leads me to take food. So things were fine, but that was like 2 months ago. Three months ago? Oh, 2.5 months ago. Also, meow meow. Your opinion on Stanton Friedman, was he a bat dookie insane flying saucer nut job or Wile E. Coyote super genius? Stanton Friedman, which one was he? Stanton. Oh, that guy. Okay. Yeah, he worked as a nuclear physicist. And I guess in the 70s, he quit his job to become a UFO recorder after that. But he like sort of became a repository for UFO sightings, and yeah. But I'll have to dig deeper into him more. I saw a video or a short documentary. I can't remember if it was on Netflix or Hulu or something, and they had old footage of him being interviewed. Yeah. I'll have to read about that guy more. So no, I have no opinion. You're getting a lot of, I don't actually know enough about that tonight to give you opinion on things. Okay. All right. Did I get them all? Did I do super chats? I did super chats. Where are we? We had done Daphne's question about volume. Richard's question about Ramadan calendar. And then the nomination one. There we are. Okay. I'm caught up. All right. Saturday afternoon in Perth, Australia. Hey, Steve. He's in Australia. I really want to go to Perth. I played baseball with a guy from Perth. Chris, what was his last name? He was kind of an asshole, but he's a pretty good baseball player. Chris, what was his last name? Totally forgetting now. It's like 20 years ago. But he was from Perth and had a hell of a fastball. Couldn't throw a curveball to save his life. So we put him in as a closer, and then we had him as a catcher often. But he broke his thumb on a really nasty slider from a guy who threw close to 100, and that was it for his catching days after that. And I guess he was also, because he was a soccer player, football player in Australia. He was the punter for the Lewis and Clark football team, and he could do a crazy spiral punt that was as phenomenal as anyone I've ever seen. Thing just woo. All right. Naniesco, driving on the 405 heading north on the Los Angeles freeway here in California. Quick question, listening to while driving, what documented evidence do we have of the shenanigans for GME? What documented evidence? Well, we have the Ortex and S3 reports dating back to prior to October 2020 showing that short interest was in like the hundreds of percent. And I think that lasted until the baby squeeze. It was somewhere 250%, somewhere around there was the borrowed reported short interest, which remember is voluntary reported short interest. The chairman of Interactive Brokers was on the record saying that shorts had to buy 250 million shares to be able to close positions during that time. The volumes of shares traded were insane. Something like 14 times the float traded in three trading days during that period, which is kind of impossible for a stock to do if there isn't blatant manipulation and naked selling happening. Also, in the month of January 2021, there were 10,000 retail investors January 1st. And by the end of January, there was over 900,000 retail investors in GameStop. We had similar volumes happen again in February and March of 2021, where several times the float traded in single trading days and the price went up like $100 in a day. And then it happened again last June. Happened again in November. And it kind of was happening again just a few weeks ago until GameStop made the announcement of the dividend. And then all of a sudden everyone just put the brakes on everything. And now they're just like in a holding pattern, waiting for clearance to land or something. I don't know. We also have glitches. The glitches are also very apparent that there's shenanigans going on. Like, we came close yesterday where there was only 4 asks available before the price went up to like $169,000. So I think the market makers are having a hard time keeping up with flooding the market with naked shares to keep all of a sudden from the ask price getting hit at hundreds of thousands of dollars. So there's a lot. There's a lot of documentation showing that there's shenanigans. And I'm sure more will come out with whatever this BCG lawsuit is. We will learn about insiders inside GameStop whose job it was to destroy the company, what their connections were to things like Citadel and BCG itself and other hedge funds. I think there's a lot more coming. Oh goodness, I'm an hour behind the chat. Holy shit. I'm always an hour behind the chat. Okay. Roaring Pickle Hidden Kitty, currently watching an inflatable hot tub. Inflatable hot tubs are the greatest thing in the world, and I need to get mine refreshed. I love my inflatable hot tub. 3 greatest purchases of my life. Monkey butt, right? Are you a good purchase? I'm not talking to you, big dog, you big idiot. I'm talking to this little monkey right here. Come here. Come here and say hi. Yes. This little booger. Great purchase number 1. Great purchase number 2 is my memory foam mattress. I did not realize how little I slept and how much tossing and turning I did every night until I got a mattress that was super comfortable. And all of a sudden, all I needed was like 7 hours of sleep a night, and life was great. And then my inflatable hot tub, which when I have it up and running, I spend like 30 hours a week in. And the problem is that while I was gone to Europe, power went off and my roommates didn't turn the power back on. And then snow came and it just got gross. So I got to clean it all out, which maybe I should do that this week. That'd be a good idea. Yes. Oh, this dumb idiot's going to have to stay inside my hot tub. This lady can go wander around the yard while I'm hot tubbing, but I can't trust this guy at all because you're just too stupid. Yes, you are. And you won't listen to commands, and you'll just go to the next door neighbors and try to eat their dogs. Yeah. Or the other neighbors try to eat their chickens. Because you're just a big dummy. Yeah, you're so dumb. You're just so dumb. You're a sweet, dumb moron. Yeah. Okay. Meow meow. Did you see Joe Rogan with a podcast with Bob Lazar? I know about Bob Lazar. Bob Lazar's insane. Bob Lazar is a giant fat liar. He may have had connections with Area 51 and UFOs, but he was not a physicist. He never went to school for physics. He doesn't have a degree in physics. He has, at best, a high school diploma or GED. And he's not an engineer. He's not a physicist. He's also a convicted criminal and has made like Ponzi schemes and things like that. I think he's more con man than anything else. He's just a convincing one. But I wouldn't trust Bob Lazar any further than I can throw him. I think he's just full of shit. I am totally open to the fact that UFOs can exist, and I've seen things in the sky I haven't been able to explain. But has Bob Lazar had intimate connection with any of these things? No, I don't think so. I think he's just a glory hog in that sense. Okay. Javi A, if everything in our financial system is so corrupt, how will the Moaz ever pan out? It's because it's corrupt. That corruption is the entire reason the potential Moaz exists. Because they've been allowed to generate all these naked shares for so long to try and hammer stock prices down to zero, and we have figured out the secret weapon, which is buy and hold, they have not been able to hammer it to zero, and now those liabilities are piling up. And those liabilities are going to result in them being forced to buy and close out their positions because their margins will have gotten too large compared to their assets under management. And they have to sell off their assets to pay us. And when they do, the price is going to be nuts. And that's what we're waiting for. Peachy Sunday, why is the ex-CEO of Overstock now goes around and becomes a Trump groupie? He always was. I have a friend who... you might be watching right now. Sometimes he sneakily watches. Who worked for essentially the number one, I don't know what you call it, affiliate of Overstock. They imported things from like India and Pakistan, and then they'd resell in Overstock. Might be little trinkets and candle holders and picture frames and things like that. And they had an affiliate program with Overstock prior to the affiliate program that people use now with like Amazon or Walmart. And as a result of being a part of this huge affiliate program, I used to hang out quite a bit with the CEO of Overstock. And he always was kind of a weirdo. and Trump groupie from the get-go. And I mean, a lot of CEOs are, because they don't want to pay taxes. They're definitely, they want theirs, and they don't care about other people getting anything in the process. But he's always kind of been that way, and but that's life, man. That's how it rolls. Aldo Shahini, any thoughts on loop ring? I mean, no. Loop ring coin is a fairly stable coin. I think when Gmerica takes off, it will probably rise in value and demand as well, because it trades on this platform that results in minimal gas fees. Beyond that, it kind of acts like the share for the loop ring company. That's how they raise their money. Just like selling stock. So, but it is not a stock, but they could turn it into one, I think, if they wanted to. Mr. Diamond's currently watching sitting on a toilet. Hope things went well for you an hour ago when you were on that toilet. Dustin Height. Ooh, we got some coordinates. Finally. It's been a while since you guys gave me any coordinates. All right, let's go. Where are we going? Where are we going, Dustin? Bam, shabam, bam, bam. Go. There we go. We're flying. We're going to the west. We're going to, where are we? Like Wyoming? We're in the Middle Mountains. Looks very granitic. We are in, where am I? We're in Wyoming. Okay. Where is this? There's Jeffrey City. What's he say on his? Some geology you might find interesting. Well, it looks like we got granite. This is definitely granite here. It's very granitic. Savage Peak. How high are we? 7,000 feet on Savage Peak. We got a very windy, meandering river here in this valley. We've got, looks like some dry lake beds. Looks like dry lake beds. These could very well be kimberlite pipes, looking at this region. These also, oh, this definitely looks like kimberlite pipes through Wyoming, like we find lots of places there. It's old Craton. We've got beautiful colors of these folds here. What are these all about? Ferris Mountain. I've not been through Ferris Mountain. Is this the Red Rock Desert? Is that where I am? Yeah, this is Red Rock Desert here. So this is the only point on the continent that doesn't drain anywhere. So even technically, like the lake beds in Nevada drain to the one ocean or the other. This is a very weird desert that does not drain anywhere except here, and that's it. There's no other. Yeah, it's a very, very weird spot. And if you ever did get around to reading T.S. Spivet, big dog, you are in the way. Which is might be my favorite fiction novel ever written. The selected works of T.S. Spivet. The young man in the book, like, hops a train and goes through this part of the desert and describes it to folks, and it's beautiful the way it's described. Oh, look at this stuff. Look at this fold here. Ooh. Is this a glitch, or is this the way it's folded? How come I haven't been to this spot? I'm going to check this guy out. This is a weird freaking... Huh. This looks like this could be all metamorphic, but with possible kimberlite pipes in between. And they're all squeezed and distorted. I'm going to check this out. Where am I? Where am I? What's the closest town to here? All right, Point of Rocks, Table Rock, Wamsutter, Rawlins. Okay, Rawlins. That's a city people go through. But I am interested in this. I'm gonna one sec. I'm gonna put that there. I'm gonna label this. What the fuck are you? And that can be a point. Okay, I'll turn you off. I'll find you later. That is weird looking. I don't ever noticed that before. Huh. What are you? Alright, I'm going to have to read some Dan Husel books to figure out what the frig that is. My guess is it's really hard to get to. There's not two. There's a dirt road that cuts through it. There we go. So we got one. Got two. I can get there. Three. Alright, and there's what looks like dunes through here. Okay. Monkey Butt, you in for a summertime adventure? Possibly checking this out? I'm interested. Alright. Where was I? That was Dustin. Thank you for that. We wandered around. We saw some sights. We explored Wyoming. And now I'm curious, and there's a spot I really want to go check out. And just poke around and see what's there. Okay. 40-year mortgages, Nelson Cash. We may have to do that if people are going to be able to maintain their buying power. It starts to get crazy. 40-year mortgages. Do a 100-year mortgage. Why not? Mr. Diamond Hands, have you read about the Twitter poison pill? No. Twitter poison pill. Oh, Twitter adopts poison pill to block Musk takeover bid. Yeah, they're going to give current investors the ability to buy more shares or something like that. Yeah, Twitter's board has unanimously voted to adopt a limited duration shareholders' rights plan that may halt Elon Musk's attempts to take over the social media company. Huh. Well, there you go. So Twitter adopts poison pill, so it allows shareholders other than Musk to acquire more shares. So like, screw you, buddy. We gave you a chance to be on the board, but now screw you. And we let everybody else have their chance. I have so many books that are in front of me that I just need to remember to put on shelves because they're all on the way. You go up here. That's where Almanac goes. Just whoa! Excuse me. I get talking, and I forget to put books back, and then my desk fills up with them, and I need to put those back. Dogs, I just sneezed. It's okay. It's okay, big dog. It's fine. I just sneezed. Everything's fine. Okay. Bitcoin. I live in Weston, Florida. My son bought a house here 2 years ago for $500,000. His neighbor just listed his house for $1 million. The homes are selling like hotcakes. Really amazing in a bad way. And I wonder who they're selling to. I was talking to a friend of mine here in my community who's a real estate agent. I was asking him because I've heard about BlackRock and stuff buying tons of homes, and I was asking him like who's buying his houses right now, and he's telling me that it's cash offers. That people are coming in from all over and just like paying cash for things. And he had a not too exciting 2-bedroom condo that 10 years ago was $300,000. They listed for $975,000, and 3 days later there was a bidding war and it sold for $1.3 million cash. Who has that kind of cash on hand to buy a nondescript condo that doesn't have a view? Like, it's a condo. It's 2 bedrooms, 800 square feet. You're paying $1.3 million for a lame condo. Cash. How? Right? Like, there's so many better places you can live for that kind of money than a condo that's not that exciting. I don't get it. Jason Blackwell, if a fish was made of 2 sodium atoms, what would it be called? Tuna. Also, if fish was made of sodium, it would just explode. But take that fish, put it in the water, and go whomp, and that'd be it. Michael Harrow, Elon Musk, hair plugs. Well, finally the part of the chat where people look at the Elon thing. Okay. Daphne, Tesla plant in Fremont is in big trouble being sued by the state for ongoing issues of racial hostile workplace. Yeah, the Tesla plant in Fremont, that plant was the plant that we talked about this a few shows ago, that was the awful plant that GM had that they were going to have to shut down because people were just like doing drugs and putting the wrong parts on cars, sticking engines in backwards and stuff. That Toyota came in and fixed. In that book, The Toyota Way, was kind of about that. And when Chevrolet shut down Geo, or GM shut down Geo, that would have been, 2005, 2006? They sold off Suzuki. They shut down Geo, and Toyota could no longer use that plant. The contract was up, and so it was going to sit empty. And then Tesla moved into that plant. So that's the history of that place. And they lost a huge lawsuit last fall, brought by a black employee who faced just horrible discrimination and abuse. And Tesla's paying $150 million to this guy. And then others came forward to the point that now the state of California is suing Tesla over that plant. That basically, if you were a black employee who was hired and worked at the Fremont plant, that management essentially had a directive to make your life a living hell. And I don't think it's going to turn out very well for Tesla in that case, which might be another reason why Elon's trying to move everything to Texas, because Texas doesn't give a crap about that stuff. So I'm very curious to see how it's going to work out. If they're going to settle or if it's going to keep going. But if you read some of the stories about the racial hostilities that black workers have had to face at the Fremont plant, I can't imagine. Like, it blows the mind that in this day and age in a modern society that folks have to face that kind of, like, just conspicuous, overt racism. It's crazy. Elon has gap fills on his scalp. Okay. Sorry, the chat just reset again. Dang it. Okay, one sec. Let me get back to where I was. And I can't get back to my whereas. I'm cut off. All right, so that's good. That puts me forward a little bit. Now I'm in the best cams, fun, hot girls, boys, 18 plus video chat section of the chat. So, Lokenzie, we know that AMC and GME ape stocks, but what stock will be the next after those two pop? That's going to be a hard one to pick out, because I think when the Moaz happens, when these two stocks are done doing their thing, that we're going to be in the midst of an economic recession, the large catalyst of which may have been Moaz, if not a housing collapse or something happening before that. And the SEC will finally be able to step in and say, hey guys, we're going to put an end to naked short selling. We're going to get rid of the payment for order flow market. We're going to close the dark pools. We're going to make these lit market and exchange. We're going to limit what the market makers can do and the powers they have. And we're going to go forward from here. And so I don't think short plays like this will ever be allowed to happen again. At least not for 40 or 50 years, when folks finally forget what they were doing and why they made these rules, and they just remove them at some point because they're stupid, and that's what always happens. But I don't think we will have short plays like this ever again. Post Moaz, good luck finding a short squeeze. These hedge funds and these family funds are going to be vaporized out of existence, and there just won't be the ability to do plays like this anymore for them. So the buy and hold strategy may not work. So, you know, our days of hunting these short squeezes may be short-lived, but, you know, will we care? We'll be sleeping on our cot between two palm trees and drinking drinks out of, like, hollowed out coconuts and stuff. We'll be fine. Okay. What's this one, Protege Son? Give me a Reddit link. Oh, the Gherkin. Okay, so the Gherkin exit strategy link. Okay, from a while ago. He's looking at his a little different than I am. I'm just a very simplified version. He's setting limit orders and well, those things, stop halts, and whatever. Darren Haya, Houston, how will the U.S. dollar inflated after Moaz affect other currencies? Should we be worried as foreign investors? If your brokerage gives you your money in your native currency, then I wouldn't worry about the dollar. You'll be in your native currency. If you're in Singapore or Australia or whatever, it'll be the Federal Reserve, the central bank of the United States, and the Treasury, who are printing reserve notes and dollars to pay for this stuff. That U.S. dollars will see an inflation. I don't think it will be immediate. It'll take time for that inflation to really hit. So perhaps if you are stuck in dollars, you move into euros or yen or something else might be your best move. You know, Moaz happens and go, you know what, I'm going to move to Europe. might want to put your stuff in euros until the U.S. figures out exactly how they're going to deal with that inflation. But everyone's going to be facing inflation because we've got a supply chain problem. We've got a potential World War III happening. We've got food issues. We've got everything else on the sun. So we may be feeling the effects of that supply and demand gap for quite some time. Okay. Svantovit32. Houston, an event of a moon landing. What kind of telescope do we need to watch the landing ourselves? A big one. If you've got like a home telescope, even a decent one that's like 10, 12 inches across, you manage to get like a 3 mil eyepiece in there, you're still not going to be able to see enough of the lunar surface to make out what's happening. I would hope that some of the bigger educational telescopes, I can't remember the name of the one on Maui that you can like rent time on as a student. But maybe, might be lucky that like UH-88 or the Canada France Hawaii telescope, or one of the bigger ones that don't have as much demand of research time, can be pointed at the moon and live stream something for us. That'd be pretty rad. So we can see like, oh, rocket land and so on. But a home telescope probably won't have the resolution, or like when you get one of those big magnifying eyepieces in there, you're focused on such a small part of the moon that any wobble or vibration that happens, like wind that blows, ends up making the image so shaky you really can't see much very easily. So you want a big telescope, very stable, adaptive optics, inside of a dome to keep wind from affecting things, and that's how you'd want to see it. I don't know if I think a home telescope would be able to do it. Trey Spider just got back to stream. Did Houston cover the AMC shitcoin topic? Oh, and I did not. Yeah, the AMC coin is fake. It's going to be a rug pull. It's dudes, scammers who are going to make a bunch of money off of you by selling you a coin and then just disappearing into the night. It's not associated with AMC, so it's a scam. Stay away from it. Just avoid it. The AMC coin is not real. If I were AMC, I'd be sending out cease and desist letters right now. But these guys are gonna make some dollars off of folks that don't quite realize it's not associated with AMC yet, and then they're gonna disappear with that cash. Rick with a silent P. Take a second. What are your thoughts on the hollow moon theory? The moon's not hollow. The moon is a solid object. There's no hollowness in it. That's not how a planetoid works. You don't get hollow anything with a giant planet like that. It collapses in itself around the center of gravity, and you have the densest part of that planet in the middle, and the light fluffy stuff to the outside. Westwind, can another whale besides Artsy potentially get control? I'm not trying to FUD, just want us to be guarded. Yeah, if they want to. I mean, anyone who's got access to like $12 billion in cash can technically buy the entire company according to the market cap. So yeah, I mean, if I were a billionaire like Elon Musk, Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, if I had just a ridiculous cajillions of dollars, if I hadn't given away by now, I would be using it to screw with people. And just be like, I bought your company. What are you going to do about that hedge fund? Because why not? What else are you going to do with that money? If you aren't doing good with it, you may as well screw with people. And throw their weight around. So, the potential's there. Will someone do it? No, I don't think so. Elon's all talk in that area. He's not going to put a penny towards AMC or GameStop. You might tweet something about it every once in a while, but that's about it. Raiderbo, why vote out AMC's board? Insider selling off? Exactly. There are members of the board of AMC that they're there because their job is to destroy the company. The head of marketing for AMC was the head of marketing for Radio Shack, the head of marketing for Blockbuster, the head of marketing for Washington Mutual. Why would you hire a head of marketing for a guy whose tenure at each company resulted in that company going bankrupt? Unless you wanted AMC to go bankrupt. Every single one of these shorted companies have folks from BCG, from Citadel, from Melvin, from all these nefarious funds, and their job is to get into these companies and destroy them from the inside. And I think we need apes at AMC. Folks that can buy and hold, folks that want to make sure that the company stays on the right foot, that aren't going to release shares nilly-willy or sell off their own assets. I mean, the AMC board itself has sold off 31 million shares in the last 14 months. So, what's that? Almost closing on 10% of all the shares available have been sold by the board of AMC, just themselves, not counting that convertible bonds, not counting the shares that they sold directly to short hedge funds. That's crazy, and that's not how a company that's survived only because of this retail investor movement should be treating the retail investors. So that's why I say we get some apes on the board of AMC, and yeah. Well, people complain that I took over Monkey Butt's bed. She's here. She's asleep on the floor. She's happy. That book can sleep there for now. All right. Green Thumb, will they cover before a stock split? They may not have a choice. I was talking about this with Radek on Wednesday. If you are an institution who lent out your shares, the way the laws are written for those lent out shares is that the short hedge fund will be responsible for any dividends that you receive. And in the case of a dividend split, like a dividend that gives you shares, if you lent them out, the short hedge funds can give you the cash equivalent for those shares or give you the shares themselves. But if you are not in possession of the original shares that are lent out, you've got synthetic in your account, you are responsible for paying taxes on what you receive in that transaction. So there's likely going to be a share recall for all the folks who lent out their shares, which is going to cause a giant spike in price prior to the date of record for the dividend. That might be our Moaz. That might be enough right there that if the price of the stock goes to $1,000 or whatever, that it would be enough to cause the Moaz to happen and just a bunch of buying force to happen. If the share price on GME goes to $1,000 a share, I don't think there's a single hedge fund in the world that has enough liquidity to meet liquidity requirements to survive that. I think there's a reason why when the price hits 350, they hammer it back down, because it gets to a point where none of those guys can afford to survive. And they're going to be facing margin calls. They're not going to be able to come up with enough cash for it, especially when we've got liquidity problems across the entire market. And so that act may very well trigger Moaz, and we may get two Moazes out of it. We may get the ones who borrowed a bunch of shares having to pay out, and then when shares get deposited in people's accounts for the dividend, another one happens because of defaults on folks that generated synthetics from failure to delivers, them being liquidated to have to go out and buy shares. So we may get a second one. And which one will be bigger? I don't know. I don't care as long as I can retire. That's what I'm shooting for. As long as I can retire, I don't care. Tom R., the ones in charge will prevent the squeeze in order to protect the market and investors. A currency reform, digital currency, or settlement will take place to end Moaz without Moaz. Prove me wrong. I don't think a digital currency will take place because the U.S. government is so far behind the curve that they only just now task the Federal Reserve with investigating digital currencies. They don't have the programmers, they don't have the code, they don't have the bank set up, they don't have anything set up to actually like initiate a digital currency right now. That is so far off in the future, and you have to jump through so many bureaucratic loopholes that I don't think a digital currency is anything that's going to happen anytime soon. I don't think there's any way to protect the market at this point. That we are definitely going to be entering a bear market. We're probably going to be entering a deep recession, just basically because we've got bonds all over the world and the trillions of dollars that are being defaulted on. We've got a commercial real estate bubble and a housing real estate bubble that's popping. We have a pandemic that's still going on. We've got supply chain issues up the wazoo. We're going to have a food crisis by this fall. Inflation is going nuts. Interest rates are going up. That I think there's no way to avoid the market just taking a giant dump. It's going to happen. It's going to happen at some point. They can only, tweak what they can for a while and then it just gets out of their control. And I'm actually amazed they made it to this point without everything coming collapsing down. Okay. Dame Horatia, what do you do if AMC board doesn't respond? That's how they keep old bulls on the board and new folks out. Well, there are retail investors who individually own more shares than the entire board at AMC. So maybe we hostile takeover. Right? Maybe we form a coalition and do a hostile takeover of the board at AMC. Because we can outvote them at any time and kick them out. So, why not? I'm for it. Just kick them to the curb. Go from there. Okay. I'm almost turning into pumpkin time. I'm surprised that like 300 of you have managed to stay awake with me this long. Fantastic. Trace better. Monkey butt wants to remove that butt. All right, monkey butt. Oh, this is. I just found the post-it note I wrote that said like and subscribe to remind myself. It fell off the computer monitor. Remember to like and subscribe. Tell your friends and your grandparents. I don't think I remember to tell people to like and subscribe for like 3 months now. There you go. I'm going to put that right there, monkey. And you can go up here. Do you go up here? Yeah? You want to go up in your bed? There you go. There's a happy dog. Yeah. Ooh, look at that booty. Get a shot of your good side, everybody. All right. So let's scroll down towards the end here. And so I can get some of these last questions in here. I'm sorry if I skipped or missed questions. We need to get the arguments to go on in the chat there. All right. I'm getting to the point everyone telling me to move the books. Project Sun, Houston Wade, exact GPS coordinates impossible. Search Gustav Vigeland baby statues. Well, exact GPS coordinates, I mean, trying to get something down to like millimeters is basically impossible because the Earth's surface actually moves over time and morphs. And we're not a perfect sphere. We're an oblate spheroid, which means picture like a basketball that's been squished a little bit. And because there's centrifugal force as we rotate around, so it kind of makes this oblate spheroid, and if you ever had a chance to use like a GIS, Geographical Information Systems mapping program, you actually get map layers that are yearly updated according to the geometric shape of the Earth. And you can tinker with that stuff. You can like have a map of, let's say you're doing some random town that's like, I don't know, Lake Havasu, Arizona. And you're looking at a neighborhood on a relief that's from 1999, and then you throw modern roads on top of it, and all of a sudden the roads are all off, and it looks like there's, the houses in the wrong spot because you haven't updated the geometric shape of the Earth yet. You got to take the 2022 geometric fudge factor, put that in there, and everything can align again. Because the Earth does move, It is a giant ball full of goo inside, and as it rotates, and there's earthquakes that happen, and there's the moon tidal forces, that stuff gets off a little bit. So you can get a general idea, pretty accurate with GPS, but it's always going to be off by a little bit because of that dynamic shape of the Earth. Stonks are us. What if Elon sold his Twitter and created his own platform? It would fail miserably. Every single solitary group that has created an alternative Twitter based on free speech has been a giant turd. Gab, Getter, Parler, Truth Social, all of them are garbage. Why? Because it attracts the worst of humanity to those platforms, and everyone else wants nothing to do with them. If when you go into a platform and 95% of what you see is racist and homophobic and bigoted and mean-spirited and just full of just the most awful takes ever, you're going to go, I don't really want anything to do with this. This is the reason why Facebook's been hemorrhaging customers for the last 5 years, is that Facebook, as a result of poor moderation, has allowed some of the worst people to flourish on their platform. And everyone else is like, I don't really want to hang out here anymore. Moderation is the success of a platform like that, is that you have to make it palatable to the 85% of the population who do not hold those absolutely horrendous worldviews. And they don't want to deal with those people. They don't want to deal with the bots. They don't want to deal with the troll farm folks. And it's, Twitter can improve itself a lot in that regard. They should be blocking lots of bots. But part of how they keep their stock price afloat is showing how many users there are. And if there's, 100 million bots floating around their platform, they say, hey, there's 100 million users. And the investors go, oh, that's amazing. But the other platforms, the Gabs and Getters and Parlers and Truth Social, no one wants to use them. And no one's going to want to use a platform that's just going to be a bunch of Elon fanboys just sucking each other off all day. Quite frankly, them fawning over Elon is not attractive to 95% of the population. He's got a lot of folks who see him as like a deity and an amazing treasure, and he has them completely brainwashed. But that isn't the basis for a large, successful company to attract lots of users. It's more like a cult. And yeah, Elon can start a cult if he wants to. He basically has one. So, but I don't think, why doesn't Elon just buy one of the other, floundering Twitter copies out there? You guys in the books. All right. Oh yeah, Scott Mattingly, U.S. dollar coin, $50 billion going to the street, banks, hedge funds, etc. Yeah, I found that interesting. It's BlackRock or is it Vanguard? One of those guys is basically taking over operation of U.S. dollar coin. I noticed they're not doing Tether coin, which we all know is a giant Ponzi scheme. But the U.S. dollar coin is tied to the U.S. dollar. It's tethered to that dollar. What would happen if all of a sudden on the major coin exchanges, if say 1 million users all started putting limit orders in for US dollar coin that was well below $1? What would happen to the holdings of those big financial institutions if the entire market was full of bids that are well below $1? I'd be very interested. Yeah. Okay. It's me, BK. Is it true you only have XX shares? Houston Wade. I have XXX shares now. Each week I try to get another one or two if I can, as paychecks roll in. But no, I'm not a giant holder at all. I've never had that much to invest in the first place in it. I did pretty well on my calls, and I'm trying to leverage more cash out of those, so hopefully I can pick up some more here come up soon. But at the moment, I've got XXX shares. Sean Marcos, just Ryan Cohen buying 100,000 shares at increased price by 12 points. Imagine how high the price will shoot up due to millions of shares being recalled. Exactly. And the fact that we won't sell them, and that those recalled shares have to be legit shares and not synthetics that were generated by FTDs, means each recalled share is going to have to be purchased, 10, 12, 15 times, resulting in just, if you are an institution that lent out 1 million shares and you're doing a recall and you need the legit shares in your account during that recall, that means a volume of 15 million is going to take place just for that recall. So, because they buy a share and it's synthetic, they go, God dang it, and they can't give that to the hedge funds. They got to buy another one until they get a real thing to deposit in there. So it could cause a big jump in price. Dame Horatia, regarding AMC board, they won't let us put apes on the board, hence no response regarding request to nominate. Several emails already written. It's because the nomination process does not open up until May 7th. You have from May 7th to June 6th. You have the 30 days to do that nomination, and that's it. That's all you have. So they can't respond or do anything about it now. It's only during those 30 days from May 7th to June 6th can they accept nominations from those folks. Okay. All right. It's 11:50 my time. These guys are tired. I'm tired. That'd be all I got for me tonight. Thank you so much for joining for some After Dark. It's been fun. And I'm gonna go sleep. I'll see you guys Monday afternoon sometime. I'm getting my eyes checked tomorrow. Got some fancy new glasses. Give you a little treat and display of the fancy new glasses here, because the big dog destroyed these by either me crushing them or him crushing them. Not sure which. We got some bitchin' new Oakleys here, so my whole face is going to change here, folks. It is a different face all around than these smaller glasses, but got a new nerd face going on for the future. So and I just dropped my glasses to begin with. So yeah, we're gonna be changing the face here going forward. So get my prescription done tomorrow and get some new lenses, and life's gonna be grand. And then these crooked, broken glasses are gonna be retired and put in the emergency pile. Okay, all right, everybody. Is that it? Is that what we got? Little monkey? Yeah? Yeah? Okay. All right. Good night. See you Monday. Unless I do a Twitch stream. Then I'll see you for that tomorrow, maybe. We'll see. Bye-bye.